Hello, my name is Christopher, and in this video we are going to do the battle of Volvos. One question I see on social media quite a lot is if the EX30 is good enough for a family, or if it's big enough really, or if the XC40 is the better option. And in this video we are going to find this out. This is the EX30 2024 model. This is the XC40 2024 model. So what we have here is basically two brand new cars from Volvo. Which electric car should you get? We will compare the back seats, the frunks, the trunks, and of course take a more look at the interior and whatnot and see the big differences. We will also take a short drive in them as well. So welcome to the battle of Volvos. That sounds way too dramatic. The EX30 versus the XC40. Let's go with that. And if we start with the design here in the front, I really like the design of the EX30. I think it looks way more modern and fresh compared to the old XC40. Maybe it is just because you see this big plastic cover here, and you can also see other XC40s with the grille that you have. With this one, you will see that this is as intended. This is something. But compared to the lights here, if we take a look at them, you have the pixel lights on the XC40. You don't have that on the EX30. Here you have actually quite good headbeams, but they only go straight forward. If you want to see more on the sides, they're not as good, sadly. Here the pixel lights really shine. They're very good in a broader way of light, and you can see far, you can see wide, while the EX30 is just far. So that's too bad, but I really like the design. And we also don't have matrix on this one as well, even though it looks like it. We only have it on the XC40 if we choose the pixel LED lights. So it's a bit 2 and 2, the lights for the XC40, but for the design I would say the EX30. But I want to open the hoods on these ones and see what we have under. There is no locking mechanism on the EX30, so we just pop the hood and then we lift it. And we have a little plastic cover here, and then we have 19 liters of Frunk, and it is not big. It is very small. I usually have 2 cables with me. I will not be able to fit that in the EX30 Frunk. We will have to go back to the trunk for that. So let's do that. Before the trunk, we take a look at the XC40, and here we have a locking mechanism. There we have it. We open up and we have a much bigger hood here, but also a much bigger cover. There we go. And also a much bigger Frunk here. Looks much better, and I have actually had an XC40 myself, and I usually have 2 cables with me, type 7 meter type 2 cable and a 3-phase 8 meter long cable. In this one I could have both of them here. In this one I will never be able to fit them. I will have to use the trunk. We open the trunk on the EX30 and we push a button there, and the electric gate pops up. And here we have now 318 liters, and you can also see the measurement on the screen in centimeters if you don't use the metric system. Sorry, not sorry. But it is also possible to take out this floor or lower it. So if I remove the charging cable here, we can put it like this instead. So now the floor is lowered down, but the depth is not as good as it was before. Opening the trunk on the XC40, this is a car you have seen so many times before, I'm sure. We have 410 liters here, and the measurements you see on the screen is without this one, so it's up to the actual roof of the car. 410 liters is just up to this one, so since the XC40 is higher, we have more space here to fill, and this is just a more easier compartment than in the EX30, I think. We also have a ski hatch here in the XC40, which we didn't have in the EX30. And something I really like with the XC40 is this option to do that. If we remove this one, you can see that now everything that is behind here is locked in place, and they won't fly around in the trunk here. And we also have some storage here we can use, and some hooks here for whatever, bags and such. We don't have that in the EX30, and I really think that the XC40 is the bigger, more practical car if you often go with whatever it is in your trunk. This is a good compartment. That is that compartment, I would say. jumping in to the back seat here and behind myself from 180 meters, and yeah, this is not a space for a grown man. The chair is as I want to have it when I drive, and as you can see, no one can sit behind me. Maybe if you have a small child with, say you're less than 10 years old, maybe you can sit here, but you can't be this young, so you have to use a stroller because you won't fit that in the trunk. So yeah, this is not a space for people, I would say. The EX30 is not a family car. We don't have anything to take out here. We don't have any arm support, or can we stow our mugs? Nowhere to be seen. We have two USB-C here, and we can lower our windscreen the whole way down. That's nice, but doesn't do much because no one wants to sit here in the back. We have this little thing in the middle compartment here in the front, but I'm not really sure what we're supposed to have in here because no one will want to sit here in the back. Let's jump over to the XC40 and see how that is. Jumping into a larger car that's 20 centimeters longer, also higher. What do we get for that? Much better back seat. Here I can sit without having to be cramped. The headroom is nice. I sit comfortably. Really like the interior of this car. We can fold this down to have arm support. We have somewhere to place our cup holders, or we have a cup holder. We can lower our wind. No, we can't do it because the car is not turned on. We have two USB-C here. We have heating for our bottoms, and we have grills to control our own air. So this is really the better back seat in every possible way compared to the EX30. And if you have a family, if you have people that are regularly going to sit in the back seat of your car, you should go with the XC40 or the C40, but not with the EX30, because that is just too little in the back seat. So here we are in the front seat of the EX30, and it's quite nice here, but is it that nice? We are missing some stuff. We are missing a driver display. We have a 12-inch screen here, and to be fair, this is not big enough. We'll talk a bit more about that when we drive the car. But take a look at the interior. Roomy, I would say. And we have the indigo interior here. On my EX30 that I have ordered the mist version, which means we will get the gray seats like in the XC40. But we also get the gray dashboard here instead of the blue one. We have, I think they call it denim for Volvo, and this is so much better. If you're wondering if the indigo looks good, it looks really good, and I really like it. I'm not sure I would have chosen it because I really like light interiors, and this is quite black and dark. But I would much more prefer this dashboard over the one in the mist, because I think that's really ugly. Personal opinion. Take a look at the steering wheel. It's nice. It's not exactly round, but it's nice. It could have been a bit thicker, I think, to make it easier to handle. But not much. Doesn't matter. We have the buttons on the steering wheel. Terrible buttons. This is a whole big plastic part, and the buttons lag. They are feeling unresponsive, and you have to press next to the icon for the car to actually react for it. No, it's not really good. I don't understand why they have chosen to do this way, and I hope they can just redo it in a later version. Something I do like is this handle here. It's one of the best looking handles in the car industry, I think. We also have some storage compartment if we press on the screen here in the middle. Quite nice, easy to reach for the driver. And to be fair, this is a car where I think one or two people will be in most of the time. So having it in the middle is good instead of having it over here or other side, depending if you drive on the wrong side of the road. Here we have cup holders, so we have two of them, or we can just have one of them, or we can just have none of them, which is quite nice. We don't have any storage here, it's down here instead, and we also have two USB-C there, and we have phone chargers here, just one, but we have a place for 2 phones. But yeah, we have the soundbar here, up here, Harman Kardon. Sounds actually pretty good. I think I'm more happy with the sound in the EX30 than in the XC40 actually, and that also have the Harman Kardon. This has the Ultra version trim, and this has the, I think it's called Ultimate on the XC40, I don't remember, but it's the highest trim anyway. So the Harman Kardon speaker is nice, and the soundbar we have at the top in the front here sounds pretty good. I like it. Just too bad that there is no driver display, or that the display is too big. Let's take a jump into the XC40 instead and have something to compare it to. So if we jump into the bigger car here again, obviously we have also quite a roomy interior here, and we also have a driver display, which is nice, which is 12-inch. We have a 9-inch screen in the middle here, and it's nice. It's a nice screen. It's just a bit old, but compared to the EX30, when you have 2 screens here, this feels so much more, just better in every way. And I feel that the XC40 have a more premium interior, and I wouldn't call the XC40 premium in any other car comparison basically, except for the EX30, because that's how much Volvo have had to take out in order to save money with the EX30. So it's a bit of shame that they haven't gone with a premium feel in the EX30, because I really feel that they have tried to do it in the XC40, and they've somewhat succeeded with these shares, for example. The wool shares, really nice and really good. When you sit in them, they feel really nice, and they are comfortable, and you can sit here for hours driving, which I have done. And you also have leg support here, and I'm really gonna miss these shares when I have my EX30. Quality wise, it's not super nice, not super good, but it is a good standard in here, I would say. We have some storage here. I really like this one. Little trash can that you can bring along. So when you fill it up, you take it out and you take it home and empty it, and you take it back in the car. Super nice to have just somewhere to place all your trash. And we have cup holders we have a spot for our phone. We have 2 USB-C. We have a lever from Orrefors, which makes glass here in Sweden, and this is a nice design piece, I think. Taking a look at the steering wheel, it's round, it's a bit thicker, what I would have wanted in the EX30. The buttons here is much better, much better in every possible way. You get better feedback here. When you press something, it actually happens, and everything is just so much better with this steering wheel. I can't for the love of my understanding why someone would take out this steering wheel and put that in that, unless it was because of cost, which I think it is, which is too bad. I really would have liked this steering wheel in the EX30, especially these buttons. Too bad. But as I said, the Harman Kardon speakers here in the XC40, I think sounds not as good as the Harman Kardon in the EX30, maybe because the EX30 is not as big, so here we had a bigger volume to take care of for the speakers. But yeah, I prefer the sound in the EX30, but the quality interior wise I would prefer the XC40. So before we end this video, let's have a short drive in these cars, and based on no driver display, you know that we are sitting in the EX30. I like this one. The big problem I have is this screen. It's too small for the car. You have this little driver display which you have up here, but the error messages or the warning messages that you're getting tired or that you have to look at the road, etc., they are so small that you're barely able to read them, and even if you can read them, they are not there for so long, so you don't have time to read them. You get a ding and just wondering what's happening. You look over here and you see a text disappearing. So I think Volvo has done a bad job with showing the warning displays and they have to make it that small because the screen is too small. It's more okay in the Teslas where you have a big 15-inch screen instead of a 12-inch, which you have here, which also is oriented on the other side, which makes it easier to read, and you can have more information there, you can have larger numbers and larger text. I think it's easier in the Teslas to read warning signs than it is in the EX30, unfortunately. I'm also not super impressed with the one-pedal driving in the EX30. I have said before that the XC40 and the C40 has one of the absolute best one-pedal driving experience you can have. They are fantastic and they're calibrated exactly how I like them. But then we sit in the EX30 and I expected the same, if not even better, and we don't have that. I don't know why Volvo has decided to do it differently, but it's much softer, so you have to use the brake pedal more than you had to do in the XC40. But something I like in the EX30 is the steering. I think it's very good and responsive, and I wouldn't say it has so much driver feeling as you can have, but it is an EV, and I think Volvo has made a good job with the feeling compared to the XC40. The XC40 was never meant to be an 100% EV, but now it is, so they have to work around this. Here we have a dedicated EV platform from the start, and I think they have done a much better job in using that when it comes to steering. I really like the steering in this one. The suspension in the car is quite firm, it's not soft. If you wanted a smooth and comfort ride, the EX30 is not it. I feel that, sure, this is the twin performance, so it's meant to do some cornering and such, but really not. But they have said that the single motor and the twin performance should have basically the same feeling in the suspension, and it is quite firm, and that is something that I really like. But if you expect a smooth and comfort ride like any of the larger Volvos, not XC40 because that's also quite firm, well, more harsh than firm, this is a better suspension than the XC40, I think. We'll have to jump in the XC40 to compare that, so let's do that. So here we are now in the Volvo XC40, and it is more road noise in here than it was in the EX30, and you really notice how much larger the XC40 actually is compared to the EX30 when you have just driven it. It's more hood here, and you sit much higher up, and it is a larger car. We have already established that, and it really feels when you're driving the car as well. Also, the suspension is harsher in the XC40. You feel the bumps more, and with the road noise coming up and the bumps and the suspension, this is the car that is less comfortable out of these two. But the one-pedal driving is fantastic. I really like it, and I always drive with one-pedal driving when I'm driving a Volvo. Well, we'll see how about doing with the EX30 now, but been driving the XC40 and C40 and also the Polestar 2. Fantastic one-pedal driving. But we missed that in the EX30. Too bad. So it's about time to get back to the retailer to leave the EX30 again. Thanks to Bilbolaget here in Uppsala, Sweden, for lending me your twin motor engine. But I think it's time for a conclusion, and I think you know what I'm going to say. When I took a look at the EX30 for the first time, I think it was in September 2023 in Stockholm. I took a look at the back seat and said that this is a back seat for your backpack, not a person, and I still agree with myself there. If you have people that you're going to travel with and have people in the back seat quite often, don't go with the EX30, go for the XC40 instead, because that is a much more comfortable car in every possible way when you have the back seat there. Also, if you often go around with lots of luggage into trunk, or you need to pack up with family stuff and whatnot, this is not the car for you. This is the car for you. this is a much better car in that, because you have so much more space here in the trunk than you have in the trunk in the EX30. So I'm sorry if you really want the modern EX30 for your family car, but it's just too small. Maybe if you have a kid that's kids say that they are 7, 8, 9 years old and you're going to change the car again in 2 to 3 years, this might be an option, but I still wouldn't recommend anything other than the XC40 for a family. This is great if you're 1 or 2 people, or if you need a second car at home, but otherwise go for the XC40. But I still think the EX30 will do success in the market here in Sweden, of course, but also in the world, because there is a market for small SUVs, and as I said, I've ordered one, so that's something, I guess. But with that said, thanks for watching. If you like this video, if you want to see more electric car videos, or if you want to see more on my Moss Jello EX30 when it comes in about 4 to 5 weeks time, feel free to subscribe. That would help me a lot. And leave a comment if you want to say something about the EX30 or the XC40. Do you have an XC40? What do you think of it? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.